Our top story now tonight, a major FBI raid in Tampa's luxury Avila neighborhood is linked to what's being called a religious cult. Sky 9 captured this video you see here showing FBI agents outside of the mansion belonging to the church's religious leader.
Charges include forced labor, money laundering, and conspiracy to commit money laundering. That church leader's so-called second in command is also charged and faced a judge in federal court this afternoon. And that's where we find Spectrum Bay News 9's Sandra Weathers. Sandra, what have you learned?
Well, that suspect, Michelle Brannon, she was taken into custody here in Tampa, and she faced a judge today thinking she was going to get bond, but then she told the judge she was supposed to be being represented by attorneys that were paid for by the church. But when court officials reached out to those attorneys, they say they got no answer. None of the numbers are working. So this suspect is now going to have to try to find a lawyer for tomorrow to try to see if she can get bond. It is just one of the many twists in this case. Investigators say this $8.2 million Tampa mansion is one of many locations where a religious cult ran a forced labor and money laundering scheme for years.
Lift your hands and say, Lord, give me revelation right now.
This video just uploaded Sunday of David E. Taylor delivering a sermon from his Kingdom of God Global Church, formerly known as Joshua Media Ministries International, is part of what federal prosecutors say he used to turn his followers into victims of labor exploitation, psychological abuse, and threats of violence, reportedly forcing his followers, who he referred to as armor bearers, to work and live in his call centers for no pay in an effort to raise thousands of dollars from people who called into the ministry's prayer hotline. In one instance, Taylor reportedly threatened members to raise $164,000 or be punished with no dinner, pouring cold water on victims' faces and forcing them to stay awake until 4 in the morning and be back up again at 8 a.m.
Thank you for calling Apostle David E. Taylor's executive office and his 24/7 miracle prayer line.
When we called the church's hotline, we were greeted with this message, and then someone came on the line ready to connect us with someone for prayer. According to this indictment, Taylor didn't act alone. On the JMMI website, Michelle Brannon is listed as his spiritual daughter and executive to the ministry, but court documents refer to her as his second in command. She reportedly made sure victims followed all the orders from Taylor under threat of violence and condemnation. Victims were cut off from their families and weren't allowed to leave the properties without permission, according to documents. According to reports, the suspects reportedly raised more than $50 million in a scheme that lasted more than a decade. Now you see that video that was taken at that Tampa mansion. There are two cars there where you see big bows on the top. Those are some of the luxurious items that federal authorities say these suspects are accused of using that money to pay for. Again, that suspect, Taylor, the church's pastor, is arrested in North Carolina and expected to face a judge. This case is expected to be tried in Michigan, one of the several states that this church has different properties in. Of course, this is a story we'll continue to follow and bring you more updates. Reporting live in Tampa, Sandra Weathers, Spectrum Bay News 9.